Once upon a time, there was a nice Irish lady named Sinead O'Connor. Sinead O'Connor was the hottest thing in pop music and rock music for like a whole minute. And anyone who bought the first record, The Lion and the Cobra, knows when I say it was quite a debut record. It was phenomenal. Sinead O'Connor was amazing. Sinead O'Connor was rocking her way to superstardom. And then she recorded a Prince song, and it went #1 and made her an international superstar. And she did that one thing international superstars did. Now anyone, it seems, can do it, but back then, you had to be pretty important to be able to perform on Saturday Night Live. She performed on Saturday Night Live, and she sang an extraordinary rendition of the song War. And at the end of the song, she said, "Fight the real enemy." And she pulled out a picture of the then Pope and tore it up on live television, thus ending her career. Literally ending her career. I saw on YouTube the other day, I'm a huge Sinead O'Connor fan. Underneath all this is my Sinead O'Connor haircut, and a huge fan. And I mean, how am I not going to love a bald chick who wears dresses and combat boots? Hello. So good, huh? So love her. My mouth has hit the floor. I've gone, well, that's the coolest thing that's happened on Saturday Night Live since Elvis Costello gave the finger and Patti Smith destroyed every instrument on stage when they still had one more song to do. If I had to make a list of a million things that were about to happen, nothing would have ended up on the list that would have said her career would be over. Well, it was. She was banned from the show forevermore, but Andrew Dice Clay could host the following week. And by the way, she wouldn't perform on the week he was supposed to be on because she refused to be associated with his type of humor and how degrading it is to women. But anyways, there's so many layers of irony in this tale. So Sinead was banned from Saturday Night Live, and thus she was banned from everything from that moment on. When she performed live next, she played a huge festival with people like Bob Dylan and Bonnie Raitt and Chris Christopherson. And she came on stage and she was booed by thousands of people and went off crying, and Chris Christopherson held her while she cried. I'd like to have Chris Christopherson hold me when I cry. I would call that a success. But needless to say, no more Sinead O'Connor on pop radio ever again. Now, I've bought every Sinead O'Connor record since, and they're all spectacular. And I've seen her in concert, and she is every bit as wonderful as I imagine, and she could tear up my picture for all I care. Eventually, she did it on live television, and the whole world talked about it the next day. But for some reason, on Saturday Night Live, do you get the joke yet? On Saturday Night Live, it's not okay to bash Catholics. Back in the, 1 minute in history, because I've seen Saturday Night Live since its inception. Of course, my grandparents showed me the videos of it. But I've seen every episode of Saturday Night Live, and when were there rules of what you can make fun of and not make fun of? But I guess if it's comedy, you can make fun of the Pope. But if you're a musical guest and you mean business, you're in deep doo-doo. I'm going to say shit because I asked permission from this venue to say the word shit in this story. So you're in deep shit if you do that. Well, I thought that was grossly unfair. But, you know, shit happens and you can't control what happens to Sinead O'Connor. But I always thought it was wrong. Well, do you know that in this country, there's been an enormous backlash against the Catholic Church because of priests molesting children? Have you heard about this? I don't know if it's gotten to you guys yet, because it's like barely in the news. Well, I guess priest bashing and Catholic bashing is now cool, and anyone can say whatever they want. But Sinead O'Connor couldn't say anything. I wonder if they had Frank Sinatra on, and if he had said it, how that would have gone down. Something tells me that it wasn't just the fact that it was done, but that it was a woman, that it was an Irish woman, you know, Irish Catholic thing, you know, and not an American icon. I have a lot of feelings about what happened with that. I think she made a brave move. I don't know if it was a smart move. I'm not saying, you know, she should have done it. I'm just saying the backlash for what people do always seems to be far worse than what they actually did, and especially if it's women. Because I mean, I've been twerking for years, and I've never caused a controversy. Just saying. And if I was able to take a foam finger and poke Robin Thicke in the butt in public with it, I think that would build my fan base. I'm just saying. And by the way, I saw Robin Thicke's video, and compared to Wrecking Ball, qual es la différence? I don't know. What is the difference? I don't know. I guess it's okay when Robin Thicke does it. It's not okay when Miley does it. I don't know. Robin Thicke did it better, but you know, I'm kind of playing for the other team, so what do you expect me to say? Now, that having been said, when I recorded my masterpiece, Does God Sleep, I was a breakout gospel recording artist, and it was my third record, and it was the make or break record, and I recorded the song Does God Sleep, and a section of the song has to do with actual abuse that took place in my life, and I'm quoting the words of someone in that abuse, and they said the word shit in what they said to me, and it was in the song. And the problem was the person who was recording my records for me was a Southern Baptist minister and a dear friend of mine, and so I showed respect, and I said, you know, the song has the word shit in it, do you mind if I record it in your office? You know, because that's how we record records now. We don't really go in these fancy studios. We only did that when we film our videos to make it look like, you know, we have hanging mics and headphones and we are the world, you know, but no, we don't do that. So we're crammed in someone's study with all their musical instruments, or in this case, all his books on theology. And he said, well, I'll respect whatever you choose, Paisley, but I'd prefer you didn't. And so in deference to him, there's only 3 times in my entire recording career, which covers 17 records, despite this room. I hate Phoenix, calling my agent, but only 3 times I made a decision based on what someone else said that I regretted. And the one I really regretted the most was Does God Sleep? That was the one that really bothered me the most, because this really happened. The other choices were my choices, but this really went down this way. So the actual quote, well, I'm going to sing the song, but the actual quote was one way, and I changed the words, you're shit, to you stink, you sink. And it's okay. I mean, the record turned out great, and it's available for free download on my website, www.PaisleyYankolovich.com. But it's not the truth. It's not the truth. So I made up a lie to appease goodness, to cover up the truth, which was ugly and profane. I wouldn't do that today. And however, when I recorded the vocal, out of respect to me, he left the room, so I could make whatever decision I made without having to look at him. So if you listen to the record, at the end, when I repeat the thing over and over again, one time I say you're shit. You can hear it, but it's buried under a lot of noise. But you hear, shh, shh, you can hear it. And I came back in, and he goes, I heard it from the other room. And I was like, well, I should have just done it for the whole song. The reason I brought it up was simply this. Sinead O'Connor got vilified for pointing out abuse that the whole world knows about. Paisley Yankolovich took the higher road for goodness and covered up an abuse, how it really went down. I'm a bitter fella. I'm a bitter fella standing on a stage in a relatively empty hall on Daniel Pearl's World Music Day, and I grew up with Daniel Pearl, and we were friends, and we rode bikes together. And one day, a friend of mine was on TV being beheaded by terrorists. I think that there's no way to make that sound nice. And I think there's no way to make molesting children palpable. And I don't think there's a way to quote the words of a abusive perpetrator without it sounding ugly and offensive. And I guess the argument would be, should Christian artists record things that are ugly and offensive? Well, I guess it all comes down to, what do you think is ugly and offensive? I saw The Passion of the Christ, and that was 2 hours of ugly and offensive. That was rough and miserable. But it was the truth. How do you present that and it not look like that, not be like that? Well, I guess you don't present it. Seems to me there's a sliding scale for what we can and can't communicate in this country, especially in the realm of the church. Sinead O'Connor handled an ugly situation in an incredibly ugly way. However, rock star. All right. I've seen her pictures on Facebook. I'm closing. So, she talked about something really ugly in a very ugly way. The whole world knew about it the next morning. That's the reality. The whole world knew about it. She used her platform. She said something ugly. If you'll forgive me, she shit all over the stage, and the whole world found out about it. She's my hero. And being that my record sales have pretty much gone the way hers have, I guess I grew up to be just like her. My friend Danny Pearl was murdered by terrorists, and it's impossible to not look at life different when that happens. It's impossible. The whole world talks about how 9/11, in fact, the whole country, forgive me, the whole world doesn't talk about it. The whole country talks about 9/11 like it happened to them. And I say a term like that with that tone like it happened to them, and most Americans say, it did happen to us. Okay, well, did you know anyone on a plane? Know anyone in the buildings? Let's narrow it down, man. They connected Daniel Pearl's death to 9/11. And I used to ride bikes with that guy and go to religious school with him. You know, we were just young Jewish kids in Encino, California. And I'm not melting this, I'm just saying I try not to think about Daniel Pearl, to be honest, because it breaks my heart. But every year these festivals come around, and every year I get to participate, and I'm grateful. So I always mention what it was like to know someone who was just a normal kid, and one day read about him in Time magazine and see the video, of course, which you can still see online. Okay, just for the record, I don't understand freedom of speech, but it seems to apply to whoever someone else thinks it's okay for it to apply to. And I'm all for freedom of speech, and I'm all for everything being available to everybody, because, you know, I want to be able to tear up a picture of the Pope on Saturday Night Live. I want to be able to say shit on my 3rd record instead of on my 13th record. But I don't want to ever hear about my friends getting their heads cut off by terrorists, and that is the world I live in. And I'm so grateful to participate in World Music Days, to pay tribute in whatever way we can. I think remembering is the ultimate tribute to any story. I think the fact that, you know, we remember the events of our life make them real and valid, and I think it's really important to listen to the pain of the people around us, because we just never know what's going to happen next. And we don't know who's next in our circle of friends to lose their lives or have tragedy affect their lives. And you know, I'm coming from a Christian bias where, you know, we were commanded, you know, to love everyone, and that our ultimate commandment from Christ is to love everyone. And that's how, you know, people would know we were his. And yet I see Christians turn on everybody. Everybody. I mean, we're just running out of people to turn on. You know, and I would like to say, in honor of my fallen comrade, teach your children well. And listen to the people that are crying out in bitterness, you know, and, you know, when someone tears up a picture of the Pope, or someone dances around with a foam finger sticking it in Robin Thicke's butt, it's something to think about. Something to think about. Was God sleeping the night my baby died? I don't think so. It's so easy to lay the blame when he knows all things before they happen, a vision of the night to hold on to. I have that memory of you. I need an extra dose of faith to get me through. I need an extra dose of faith to get me through. I need an extra dose of faith to get through. Why did God give me someone like you? Why did God give me someone like you? Does God sleep? 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 I don't think so, no. I think God was asleep when he let my dad take me out back, you see, in the shade of that old willow tree, do those awful things to me. I think God was asleep when she, my mom, at my 6th grade party, whispered in my ear gently, "You're shit, you're shit, you're so ugly." Was God sleeping the night my mama died? It's true. She couldn't take any more. I hope that Mama had the guts to look him in the eye and say, "I'm sorry, but I have no memory of you." I need an extra dose of faith to get me through. I need an extra dose of faith to get me through. I need an extra dose of faith to get through. Why did God give me someone like you? Why did God give me someone like you? Does God sleep? 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 I think God was asleep when he let my dad take me out back, you see, in the shade of that old willow tree, do those awful things to me. I think God was asleep when he let my mom at my 6th grade party whispered in my ear gently, you're shit, you're so ugly. I trusted you with my life. Now I see that I was wrong to try. You did those things I'll carry forever. Can't erase them from my mind. Never. Don't touch me anymore. Don't touch me anymore. 'Cause I don't have to tell God what you have done. He already knows. God trusted you with my soul. Gave you reign, gave you all control. You let him down when you laid me down, thinking that no one was around. Don't touch me anymore. Don't touch me anymore. 'Cause I don't have to tell God what you have done. He already knows. And he loves you, though I don't know why. He loves you. I don't know why. He loves you. Why? He loves you. So do I.